Okay, so we've had our art gallery now. We've had a chance to share. We've had a chance to look at our rubric and assess on how we've done. And now I want a chance for you to share out loud. What went really well? What were you really pleased with what you were able to do? And what would you look at trying to do differently the next time? What do you need to really work on? Let's start with kind of our stars, the stuff that went really, really well. What were you really pleased with? Rudy, why don't you start?
Pictures, and we made like a guy.
Yes.
And what I think we did really well was explaining how this connects to what we did.
And is there anything else you want to add to that one? Anything else that you thought went really well? Hamza, you want to go with it?
Well, I think something that we need to work on,
Yes?
because we had like 3 creations. We had this little globe, and a man, and a picture.
Okay.
But overall, we explained so much.
So what would you then want to do it better? What were you thinking?
Create more things.
Okay. To show. What else might you create then that would help with showing what you learned?
I think we should, because we talked about the two men who made the cure.
Yes?
This guy named Omei Shine.
Yes?
And Edward Jenner,
Okay.
who invented vaccination.
Okay.
And Omei Shine invented
Variolation. But then became illegal.
Okay. So what would you then have created then for the next time that would help show that piece?
Probably made a little scene of Omei Shine's way. And
Okay.
Edward Jenner.
Okay. Absolutely. Is there anyone else that Ella first, and then we'll go with Faisal. I know you two are in the same group.
I think what we did well was answering the questions that a lot of people had trouble with.
Okay. Like what? What questions could you answer?
A lot of people couldn't answer like where their people lived
Yes.
in Canada, but we could.
Okay. And where did your group live?
Our group was the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River.
And what else?
I think what our group did really well in was how we combined all of our topics together in the art piece.
Okay.
And also that we knew all of our information and we could answer all the questions.
And you know what was pretty impressive as I went group to group, and even when I spoke to you before, was the number of people that even when they wrote things out, you were really able to talk about your topic. Raise your hand if you found yourself able to talk even without looking at your notes all the time, that you really knew your topic well. Okay? What do you think helped you with doing that? What do you think helped you with knowing your topic well without looking at your notes? Claire?
You could talk to them and you didn't have to go look back at your notes and say paragraph. You could just look at them and point to stuff and tell them what they were and what their use was.
Okay, but what helped you with remembering all that information?
Writing it out and
Okay.
researching it.
Okay, so you found it easier then once you had done that writing piece to remember?
When I wrote it by hand.
Okay, who else? Because I was actually amazed with some of the details that people remembered on their own. Katarina?
I think it made it easier when we practiced
Okay.
before we did it.
Okay, so you like that point of going through it? And Mariah?
Some people
Sorry.
Kept asking me the same question,
Yes?
so I kind of got used to saying the answer, so that helped me memorize.
Okay. Did anyone else have something that helped them? Jenna?
With ours, we actually explained it's like what Mariah said, we explained the thing over and over again to people, so it was easier to remember.
Who found that they got better as time went on? And what helped you get better as time went on, other than just explaining it again and again? Was there anything else that helped? Jack, M.
Reading the information again.
Okay. So did you go back to your notes then in between? Is there anyone else who did something that made it easier? Claire?
After seeing little kids' points of view,
Yes.
then when you get another kindergartner class, or a grade 1 class, you know how to explain it to them because you know their point of view.
That's important. You know what? I hadn't even thought of point of view for this, but I guess it does matter. Rudy?
So I did my thing with Hamza,
Yes.
So I would say it once, and then Hansa would say it, so I'd listen to it, and then we just keep on repeating it.
Yes.
So we keep on remembering what to say.
Okay. Waleed?
Our group kind of did the same as Rudy's group. We just, so one person would sit out and then we would explain. And then for other kids,
Yes.
when they come in, the other person gets up and someone else stays with them and talks.
Okay. And Allie?
I felt it was easier is because when we started out with grade 3s and grade 1s, I thought it was getting easier because when we went down to the S, the JKs,
Yes.
it kind of seemed easier because they didn't really have like the exact questions. They're questioning you like only what is that made of? What is that?
Okay.
What color is that?
Okay, so the questions were easier, which made it fun. Who gave you the most challenging questions?
And a kid shook my hand.
Who gave you the most challenging questions?
Miss Bishop.
What made her questions challenging?
I don't. She just kept on going and like asking questions that were like things that we just found out.
Okay, like what?
Like she asked like what like when would we use those clothes, like what, like for like a cold thing or
Okay.
yeah.
So there was a lot of thinking questions for hers. Mark?
Yours, because you're the only one who gave me questions.
Okay, so those made that harder. But were you able to answer them?
Yes.
Okay. Who else had challenging questions from someone else?
It was like Mr. Clemens and Mrs. Bishop, because
Okay.
we're used to like, because the kids, they were just like, ooh, is that blue eyes?
Okay.
And then they actually asked us questions that we had to think about
Okay.
instead of if eyes were blue or not.
Okay. So they were harder questions from them.
Yeah.
Yes?
I think I enjoyed like taking a question from Miss Bishop, Mr. Clemens, because first of all, they're actually really easy. None of them even stumped us.
No.
And like sometimes like when when those grade 3s came in, I started saying like a bunch of stuff, and then after like that, they would just be asking something that I already explained, probably because I said it too fast and like something that they can't understand.
Okay, so you found it easier then to talk to people that could understand it then right away? Okay. So, how did this activity, this is my hard question, how did this activity give you a better appreciation for the First Nations groups that you studied? Because we studied a lot of First Nations groups that were from a long time ago, like 1713 and before was kind of our time period. How does that give you a better appreciation for those groups, both for what they were like back then and what they might live and deal with now? How did that help? Basil?
Because we researched on like we researched a lot on the groups, on the different groups. So
Okay.
we know like more about them.
Okay, and so then how did that help you? How do you feel then now about the groups of people and what they might have gone through?
Because before I didn't really know like the Ojibwe and all of those stuff, and
Okay.
now I do.
Okay, and Ella?
I think we like it more now because we got to do art
Yes?
instead of just writing.
Okay.
And then we got to, like, when you look at your art, you can also look around you, and it looks really different from, like, what it used to look like, so you kind of see.
Okay, so you can see. How did that give you, though, a better appreciation for what it might be like for First Nations people now?
I think it gives some better like appreciation because without them back then doing all like growing food and everything, we wouldn't know what to do now.
Yes.
And we wouldn't have like everything that we have now, like electronics, iPods, and a computer. And what I also liked, I made a friend in kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, "What's your name?" I'm like, Ali, and he's like, "Nice to meet you."
And he, so you thought it was pretty cool?
But then what I got sad is he ran over to Mariah's and then he gave her a hug.
Oh, that's nice.
He betrayed my friendship.
Raise your hand if you enjoyed. Raise your hand if you enjoyed having the kindergartens 1s and 2s and 3s coming up. And I think it was Ella who came up with a way to maybe make it better. Because Ella, what did you say was the harder part for it?
Explaining it actually to, I think the hardest was the grade 3s
Okay.
because they just ignored you,
Okay.
and in the grade 2s as well. But I think we should do it with like grade 4s and 5s
Okay.
and stuff like that. So then we can actually explain it how we planned it instead of having to change it like. all
So,
around.
with the younger group, with the younger group, how could this help you in terms of your thinking piece with the younger group?
I have something to say that is very important.
Layla?
You would have to think about other things that you didn't plan.
Okay. And how could we have set up our room differently that may have helped in the long run? Which I didn't really think of until I was talking to Ella today. Ella?
We could have put some in here and some in the pod. So, because in a circle they have a lot of room to wander around.
Yeah.
But when there's only one table there, they kind of have to stay there, and you can't tell the smaller kids to stay in one area for more than 2 minutes.
Who found it hard to keep focused when you had people talking on either side of you?
Something to say. I want to say.
So if it was harder for you to keep focused and almost every hand was up, imagine what it might have been like for them. Where Ella's thing is probably good, right? Like the 2s or 3s or even the kindergartens may not have chosen to ignore you, but why might they have chosen to keep wandering or looking away? Harveer? Yes? Any other reason that they might have chosen to wander or look away? Mark?
Maybe because they had no idea what you were talking about.
Okay. Although, why might they have had no idea? Because many of you...
They haven't even studied this stuff yet.
Okay. So then what did you have to think about then to make it easier?
You had to actually, tell them, what exactly more what we're talking about because they have no idea what we're talking about.
Right? So you really had to consider it. But what else then may have made it? Ali?
Oh, when we started talking,
Yeah.
when Salma started talking about the monster that they believed, and all the kids started in the kindergarten started getting scared and they wandered off. So
Okay.
I think that had to do with it.
Okay. So yeah, sometimes some of the things then, you know what? The diseases one was it was pretty graphic. It wasn't intended to be, but it was, right? So that could have. Yeah, but the kids are a lot younger. Is there anything else that may have made it harder where if we had smaller groups it may have made it a little bit easier? Ella?
I think a lot of them got off topic. Like in our group, we had this thing, and it was a lady named Spider Woman.
Yes.
And we tried to tell them that it wasn't related to Spider-Man, but they went on to another topic about Spider-Man.
Why do you think they may have made that connection?
Because they're little kids.
What's your name? Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yes. Tyler?
Oh, because your name's Spider-Woman and Spider-Man
Yeah.
is Spider-Man.
And in
Spider-Woman.
Right? Well, but Tyler, back in kindergarten, if you don't know about this topic, because you've just researched it, if you don't know about it, think about your schema and what you know. Yes?
Especially with the bullies, all you're going with is superheroes like Batman and Spider-Man and all that stuff. So all you're thinking about is that. You're not thinking about
Flash is the best.
Right. So if they don't know anything else, Mark, right, they're going to go, Allie, with what they already know, which makes sense. Claire?
I have another thing.
Yes?
That if it was better to be separate.
Yes?
Because I found this one person.
Yes?
So these couple, 3 people, wouldn't leave the table and they just kept standing there.
Okay.
So no one else could see the display and no one else was coming in. If
Yeah.
they were in clumps, and if they wanted to stay on the display,
Yeah.
everybody else could gather around the sides.
So what this means is we just have to try to do it a second time around so we can improve.